Welcome to the elephant video. So in your kit, you got little cups with paint in them. You got more than you should need. So that's great news because you should be able to paint on something different when you are done. So whether you decide to find some rocks to paint on or paint on some paper or cardboard, don't throw away that paint because you'll be able to use it on something different. Okay? So in your kit, you also got a plate. So I put some of my paint on the plate. I spread out my white so that I don't get it all dirty with different colors at once because we're gonna need it. I have a cup here with my brushes in it. You need a larger brush and a smaller brush. Anything will do. You also have a couple napkins and your canvas. And then in your kit, you got a copy of elephants. And you want to ask maybe mom or dad to cut out whichever one you want, whether you want 2 or 1. And then we'll just be tracing those on there, okay? So maybe they can do that while you're doing this part. So the way this video will work is I will paint and you can just watch me and then I'll tell you when to pause the video. So you'll know when to pause it. And I know there's a little bit of a shadow here. I'll try to move around so you can kind of see. I'm probably just seeing it. You're probably not even seeing it. So the first thing I'm doing is just kind of getting some of the extra water off my brush. And I'm going to go on the edge of my white here. I'm just going to take white and I'm just going to pick a color. I'm just going to pick a little dot of pink. You can do purple or yellow. It doesn't really honestly matter. We're just doing the edges. And I'm just going to come on here. I have my canvas this way. You can choose to have it either way. I'm just choosing to have it this way, but whichever way you would like. And I'm just going to real quick just paint this top part just so it has some paint on it. It's a lot of white, dot of color. You can kind of see that I'm not adding a whole lot of color. Just to get something on it so you can kind of see. And you can just watch me for right now. You'll be able to pause and do this. And that way I can tell you when to pause it. So I'm just doing my top and 2 sides. Coming over here, grabbing more white, dot of pink, and just popping it over here. Okay, not doing the bottom. So you don't have to pause me yet. So I did the top and 2 sides. Then I'm not going to wash my brush. I'm going to take more white, dot of pink, because I was already doing that. And I'm just going to come on here and do a little bit of pink right here. White is really your friend because it helps it blend in, kind of acts like a primer. You don't really want to see any canvas. So I'm just going like this and like this, kind of up and down. Not washing the brush. More white, little purple. Okay, we're going to be using purple, pink, yellow, and white. Any color combination you want. The key is going to be to overlap. So are you watching me overlap? The other trick is a lot of white. A lot of white. Little color. Overlap. I'm going where I already painted. And I'm going back down where I already painted. And going back to where I already painted. And I'm going up and I'm going down, and hopefully you're just watching me right now. And I'm going to take some more white. I'm going to take a little bit of yellow. Have I washed my brush? Not yet. And I'm going to go up and I'm going to go down. And you can kind of see that it's giving this different kind of a background that's just so pretty. I'm going to take a big old scoop of white and just kind of go over where I've already painted. And the reason I'm having you just watch is because you want to keep your brush moving. If you've noticed, my brush has kept moving almost this whole time, because with the amount of blending I'm doing, you don't want it to necessarily dry. So I just keep going. If you feel like you got too much yellow somewhere, well then come down here, grab more white, grab some pink. And we're gonna go to about here, okay? So I'm just gonna keep grabbing white. I'm gonna grab a little purple. And if you think you kind of got what I'm talking about, you can start painting. Do your top and two sides. You do not have to do your bottom yet. If you aren't set up yet, you can pause the video, get it set up. It's kind of the nice thing about the videos. It's a very light colored background. You're kind of noticing a lot of white, little color. Again, I'm using purple and pink and yellow. A lot of white. I'm gonna grab a little bit more yellow here. And I'm not going all the way down to the bottom. I'm just kind of going back over, smoothing it over again. You kind of see how I'm doing that. So now would be a good time to pause the video and get your painting to where mine is. I stopped about here. Okay, so you'll do your top, your two sides, and then your front. And then when you're done with that, you can start your video again. Okay, so hopefully you stopped and started your video. I'm just rinsing out my brush. Get rid of some extra water. Give it some dabs on the napkin. All right, I'm gonna turn this upside down. Now I stopped painting there, so I'm just turning this upside down. If it's super wet, at some point I'm gonna suggest that you fan it, but you don't have to yet, because as we paint, it will be able to dry a little bit too, okay? So we're gonna do the bottom, the land. We're gonna be using a little bit of white, some brown, and a little black even. So to start out, I'm just gonna take a tiny bit of white, not much. You can just see, it's just a little. A bunch of brown. Then come down here, and I'm just gonna paint this bottom part real quick. I'm gonna grab more brown. No one really sees the bottom, but it's fun to paint, so let's get it on there. And then I'm gonna go up just a little bit on the side, and I know you already painted the side, but it's not going to affect it a little bit. I'm just gonna grab a little bit of white in there. And I'm just gonna come here, just up like an inch, inch and a half, 2 inches or so. Okay? No right or wrong, can you see that? Same thing over here. Let's see, can you see it? All right. Then we just want to connect that with that. So I'm just going to turn my brush here. Does not have to be straight, and bring it across. Okay, that's our land. Now I'm going to take a whole bunch of brown, and we're just going to fill that in as our first layer here. And it's going to look a little brushy at first. If you're noticing brush, 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 see those brush marks? They're not too awesome. If you just kind of bring it along one side to the next, you won't have as much of that, okay? So I'm just gonna come on here and get some of that. There's a little bit of white pulling in. I'm going to show you a couple little tricks here. So if you want, just hang in with me for a minute and watch. So one thing that you can do is I have the bottom and then I did some brown, is you can take a little bit of white and just kind of add a little hill here. So you're just adding a little bit of texture, a little bit of direction by adding some color. Or some absence of color almost. Okay, so I'm just going to turn this around so maybe you can see it better what I mean. I'm going to come on here with my white. We just want some nice land here. So if you know what you're doing, you can go ahead and pause the video, paint your bottom, your two sides, just a little, and then you're going to use brown, maybe a little white, to get your land on there. And then when you're done with that, you can restart the video. So you are probably back. If you haven't paused it yet, pause it. My canvas is very shiny. If yours is shiny, what you need to do is fan it a little bit. So you're going to want to hold on to it kind of nice and good in the back here and just really fan it. What you don't want to do, I'm fanning behind the camera here. What you don't want to do is walk away and go watch TV or something, because then what happens is all your paint that's on your plate is going to dry too. So you actually have to fan it just like we have in class. So you're going to want to just do some fanning, and I have to fan it a little bit too, because otherwise it's not going to work out very well for me to be able to show you. What I can show you is that there are some other kits that you can get as well that are available. So there is this cute little fox, which you may have done already. And the fox is also a stencil, so that's kind of fun. And then the other kit that other kids are working on right now are these cute little cats. Aren't they fun? So just a couple little ideas of different projects that you can work on at home. All right, so if you need to fan more, you can pause it, or you can watch me while you fan. All right, so I'm going to switch to the smaller brush. All right, so I have my big brush in the water. We're going to be painting the tree black. So I'm using a smaller brush. With a smaller brush, you just want to be more careful. Just going to move this over a little bit. Using black paint. You're going to notice a V or a Y right away. So I'm just going to come on here. Notice I hold it way down here. Now, if you don't have enough paint on your brush, what happens is that you can see right through. It gets a little chalky, where you can see like little holes in your paint where you can see right through it. You just need more paint. Take the time. You're home. You're able to pause it, so take the time. Right now, what you should be doing is actually just watching those. So if you start painting when I'm painting, then you're maybe not getting the full instructions. So from here, I'm just going to go like this and like this. See the Y? Kind of a funny looking one. Then we're just going to do some little branches out from it. A little V. We're just going to make, all the trees are going to look really different. We're just going to get some branches on there. like to have a few that kind of hang down. I don't know, it's just something that I like to do. You can do your tree however you want. I do them different on every single painting, I think. And then sometimes I think they all look the same. So, you see how I have these. Okay, so you can pause the video and do some of that. Okay, I'm assuming you're back. So, for the next thing, what we're gonna do is we're gonna just put a little bit of some texture onto the tree, some leaves, but it's a shadow, okay? So we're just gonna be like dabbing. Okay, can you see my plate? Yeah. So I'm just gonna take this. Now, the key is not to have a ton of paint on your brush, but we also don't wanna wreck our brush. So I'm going flat. I'm not stabbing, I'm going flat. So I'm going like this. And I'm just kind of gonna add, I want a little bit more. So I'm getting paint and then going dab, dab, dab and getting rid of some. And I'm just here and there, paint, dab, 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 get rid of some. You just don't want a lot, but we want some. Paint, dab, 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 get rid of some. So if you think you know what I mean, dab, 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 get rid of some. You can go ahead, paint, dab, 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 get rid of some. You can go ahead and pause me or paint along with me. And if I get done before you, you can pause it. So I'm just adding some. I know that we covered up a lot of our branches, but I still think it's a good activity to get some of them on there. Okay, the other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some of that down here too. Just here and there, just to add a little bit of shadow and texture here and there. Okay, so I'm gonna have you just work on that. Go ahead and pause if you need to. It looks like I got a little bit of paint here. So the other thing we're just gonna jump to is you can add a couple little sprigs of grass. So you just go right here and go up, 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 up. Only do it on this side over because we want to be able to pop our elephant on. Now, I feel like my tree is looking very just not great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brush and take a little bit of white. Not a lot. So dab, 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 dab is going to give me what? Gray. So I'm going to come on here, and by adding a little bit of gray here and there, barely anywhere, it makes it just look a little bit better, doesn't it? Can you tell the difference? So go ahead and add just a little bit of gray onto your tree and see what happens to yours. Did it make a difference for you too? Okay. So hopefully your mom or dad has traced out your elephant, and I am hoping that they are home to help you depending on what grade you are in. You may need a little bit of help with this next step. So what you're going to do is you're going to have your elephant on there, and then you're going to take a pencil and trace around with it, which is why you might need a little bit of help. This needs to be dry. You need to be able to do this or it's too wet. Okay, so I'm just gonna take mine off here and I'm tracing it on. Just going along the outside of the stencil. You'll be able to see here, but I needed to put it flat. So you can see that I just traced it on there. I held this on and traced around it with a pencil. Okay, then what we're gonna do is you're gonna take that little brush, take a little bit of white, a little bit of black, and make gray. You don't want it too light. You can kind of see my gray. All right, then it's gonna be a slow painting. You don't wanna go really fast because you have that stencil on there, but that doesn't mean that it's gonna turn out perfect, right? So this is a silhouette, which means that it's kind of far away. You can't necessarily see the elephant's features, his face, his eye, any of those things. It's far away. So I'm just gonna bring this over here. Just gonna go like this, and I'm just going really slow. So now would be a good time to pause your video, make sure your canvas is dry, ask for help if you need it, and get your elephant traced on. See how slow I'm painting? I'm also dipping my brush in paint a lot, because what you don't want is to be able to see right through your elephant. I'm covering up my pencil lines because I don't want to see those. I'm just really taking my time. Have mom or dad, brother or sister get your picture. We're going to want to see the pictures. If you have any really good ideas of things to paint, please let me know. I'm always looking for new good ideas. Kids have been having a lot of birthday parties because they can definitely socially distance them, and those have been really looking for new great ideas too. So All right, so I have my elephant done. I am just gonna wipe it off on my napkin. Just gonna add just a little bit of black down here. It's on the bottom of the feet, legs. And then adding that grass on this side, just so that it goes all the way across. Texture here, a little bit of gray, because remember we added gray on the other side too. A little black. And that is your cute elephant. One more thing you're going to want to do is put your initials maybe in the upper or lower corner. So make sure you get a picture, send it to either me or your teacher or community ed, wherever you got this video, and let's see how your creation turned out. I cannot wait. Thank you, and I'm excited to see what you did. And I'm excited to hear if you use your extra paint for something else. Good job.